the aftermath of the race at Texas World, which saw a massive accident with 8 laps to go. Drivers Casey Lester and Tristan Bain suffered massive injuries after a head-on collision with the end of the pit wall. Lester suffered a grade 3 concussion, 4 broken ribs, broken left tibia and fibula, broken collarbone, and whiplash. Bain's injuries were never made public. Both Bain and Lester will be out of the cars for the rest of the season, if not permanently. However, we are grateful that both of them are still with us. Now, as for replacement drivers, Ike Derby Incorporated has gotten former Truck Series regular Patrick Johansson to drive the 44 car for the rest of the season, and Game Line Racing has gotten Kelly Splicin to drive the 36 car for the rest of the season, as the Super Series makes its second stop at the Memphis International Raceway in Tennessee for 100 laps. So let's get started. 2 of the defending Regional Cup champions make up the front row. John Alexander earns the Carlos P1 award with Justin Slade starting on his outside. Slade gets a much better start than Alexander as they go into turn 1. Alexander tries to hang in there, but the outside is the preferred line, and Alexander gets into Slade, and there's some more problems behind them, and that's going to allow Andy Pearson to take the lead. Slade drops back to 3rd. Now let's take a look at that. Simply, Alexander pushes into Slade. Charles Gilbert's going to get a piece of that. He bounces off the wall and into the M&J cars as they spin towards the inside of the track. Mike Malone also involved. He got the worst of it as he takes a hard hit to the inside wall. All 4 cars will continue on. No caution for this, however. But this will prevent the caution. This happened 2 laps later. Gio Arias bounces off the wall into Rick Lewis and into Kenny Brillin as Brillin hits hard into the inside wall. He comes back up on the track and gets hit hard by Roy Cook. A hard impact there, and that's going to take Brillin out of the race, as I don't think there's really anything Roy Cook can do about that. He was running 3 wide on the bottom, and there was really nowhere for him to go. As you saw, Keegan Mallory got a piece of that as well, and that's also going to take Cook out of the race. Andy Pearson will lead on the restart. Mike Malone lost a lap on pit road after the lap 1 scuffle, as Pearson's going to get a huge gap over Alexander on that restart, and that's going to leave Alexander to try to hold up the 2nd spot from Justin Slade. But a lap later, both Alexander and Slade are going to bring it into pit road. Now, some could say that they probably got some damage from the lap 1 scuffle, but if that's the case, why didn't they come in under the caution? Instead, they're going to come in under green from 2nd and 3rd and lose a lap, probably even more. But they wouldn't be the only ones to come in 1 lap after the restart. Charles Gilbert and the M&J cars of Osvaldo Ramirez and Lawrence Burr would also come in. They were also involved in the lap 1 scuffle. Keegan Mallory coming into pit road for whatever reason. Gilbert runs into the end of the pit wall. He tried to come into pit road way too fast and overshot the access road and into the end of the pit wall. That's going to be the 2nd caution of the day, but luckily they are tires at the end of that pit wall, and the fact that they're going speeds much slower than they were at Texas World, but that will still take Gilbert out of the race. While Gilbert was the official cause of the caution, there would be a much bigger accident racing back to the line. Henry Santos is going to push Miranda Leckliner into the wall. Stanley Parsons also gets involved, and here comes everybody piling into it. Parsons does a couple of rolls before coming to rest on his roof, and Santos is going to drive away. Once again, this happened while they were racing back to the caution. Mike Malone involved in it, as well as a lot of drivers didn't use the brakes, including Alex Switt and Sarah Carlisle, who we're riding on board with now, as both of them just piled right into it and made this wreck 10 times worse than what it should have been when the caution was already out, even though they were racing back to the caution. However, as karmic retribution would have it, Witt and Carlisle will go out of the race. Santos, Leckliner, Malone would continue. Stanley Parsons would also continue once they've got the car back on its wheels. Everybody would come into pit road under that caution. Andy Pearson would lead them down with his son Matt behind him. However, a little bit of strategy came into play, as Patrick Johansson would be the first one off of pit road. Then it's Billy Ray Smith Thompson, Gio Arias, James West, Tommy Ashby, and I believe that's Riley Durbin, all took fuel only. Then you see the Pete Williamson cars of Alan Cavanero and Johnson Clapp. They took 2 tires, as Andy Pearson's going to take a long time on pit road. He's going to end up in the back on this restart. However, there's one thing they didn't count on. 1 car stayed out. Daniel Kelly in the 32 would be the only car that would not pit and would take the lead of the race. John Alexander is on the tail end of the lead lap, and as you see, the M&J cars and Justin Slade a lap down after pitting under green right before that caution, which probably saved them from losing any more laps. And you can probably tell they are much faster than leader Daniel Kelly, as Alexander's actually pulling away from him, and Slade and Lawrence Burr trying to get around him. But meanwhile, Billy Ray Smith-Thompson trying to hold off the second spot from Patrick Johansson as they're side by side coming to the line. They're behind the two lap cars. Johansson could have a nice run into one and is going to take the spot. Now Johansson has to try to get around the much faster Lawrence Burr and Justin Slade. And speaking of Justin Slade, he has just gotten around Kelly to get back on the lead lap. Now all him and Alexander need is a caution, and Lawrence Burr is trying to do the same as Johansson try to get around him in order to get to Kelly to battle for the lead, as Slade is now going to make a move on. Oh, wait a second, the caution is out. That is the caution that Slade and Alexander needed, and that's going to put them back in the running. And here's what the caution was for. Miranda Leckline is going to cut in front of Mike Malone. Is going to turn herself into the wall. That's going to take her out of the races. That's the third caution of the day, and Mike Malone involved in something else. However, this accident here is what's going to finish him off. But meanwhile, the battle to the caution got really interesting as Patrick Johansson gets a monster run over turn 4, but Daniel Kelly is just going to beat him by that much to lead them to the caution. But Patrick Johansson is having an amazing run in his first start for that 44 team, as he spent the last 2 years in the Truck Series with not so spectacular results, especially last season, where his team's engine department was the worst in the series. But as you're seeing now, everybody's going to come down to pit road under this caution, and Billy Ray Smith-Thompson is just going to barely edge out Johnson Clapp to lead everybody off of pit road. However, Angel Gray, Andy Pearson, and Kiefer Glanville all stayed out under that caution, and Gray would assume the lead of the race. Henry Santos, the first car a lap down, maybe more than one lap down actually, I have no idea. But he's damaged. That's going to be unfortunate for Lawrence Burr, who is still on pace and is trying to get back on the lead lap, as did a lot of the other cars that pitted under green before the second caution. But anyway, Pearson's going to take his time getting around Santos, and that's going to allow Gray to open up a huge lead. But once Pearson gets around Santos, he's going to chase her down like no tomorrow, because Pearson, as we stated before, much faster than these other guys that stayed out. Glanville actually sticking with them, as Pearson's now going to try to make a move on Gray, the 4-time Elite Series champion and winningest driver in the Elite Series, as they're now side by side going through 3 and 4. Gray doing all she could to keep Pearson behind her, but it's not going to work, as Pearson, who has the much faster car and is 10 times more experienced, is going to take the lead. In just a few laps after the restart, Justin Slade has already broken into the top 15, as that probably shows you how fast the car he has, and he's still passing cars like he's the star of a bad racing movie. If this keeps up, then Slade will put himself back in contention to win the race. Luther Austin's going to run turn 3 wide. He's going to put himself and Riley Durbin into the wall, and that's going to be caution number 4, and it's only lap 33. That's going to take Austin and Durbin out of the race. Durbin, as we know, was involved in a pretty bad crash on lap 1 of Texas World, which kept him out of the Smash Beer 200. Luckily, his crash wasn't bad enough that he needed to miss any Super Series races, and he was able to show up this weekend. However, his weekend will end early. The 3 cars that stayed out on the last caution, Andy Pearson, Angel Gray, and Kiefer Glanville, are going to come in on this caution. However, they would be the only 3 cars to pit this caution. That means Andy Pearson's going to have a lot of traffic to go through. However, if Justin Slade was an example, he should do that very, very quickly. But anyway, that's going to give the lead to Billy Ray Smith-Thompson on this restart. Johnson Clapp will restart in second, and Tommy Ashby will restart in third. Lawrence Burr no longer has any slower cars in front of him, meaning he'll be the first car 1 lap down finally, and he now has the opportunity to get his lap back. That may cause some problems for Smith-Thompson. However, if he were smart, he would let Burr go by him, because Burr is much faster than he is, and I would let him go by me before I had second place rearing down my neck. And it looks like Burr is going to finally get around Smith-Thompson to get his lap back before Johnson Clapp can get under him for the lead. Here is Tommy Ashby having an amazing run so far in third. Now remember, he did not start at Texas World. after he wrecked his car trying to qualify for the Smash Beer 200. So he already finds himself in a hole to begin the season, but he's more than making up for it with an amazing run today. Back up front, we got a battle for the lead brewing between Billy Ray Smith-Thompson and Jocelyn Clapp. Clapp's on the bottom, however, the top is... Well, actually, I wouldn't say that the top is the preferred line. However, in most cases, the top is the better line because you can actually get a better run out of the cars on the top. Wait, caution is out as Billy Ray Smith-Thompson is going to hold off Clapp and keep the lead as they race back to the caution. Here's what brought out the caution. Kiefer Glanville and James West get together, and that's going to spin Glanville into the wall and turn him over as he's going to go for a wild ride down the backstretch before coming to rest on his roof. That's going to be caution number 5, and we're not even at halfway yet. And there goes another car out of the race. Billy Ray Smith-Thompson continues to lead on the restart. Everybody a lap down now is either damaged or just slow, so Smith-Thompson shouldn't have an issue with them. 24 cars still running, 20 on the lead lap as we're just shy of halfway. Smith-Thompson's actually taking a while to get around Mallory, and he almost takes out Johnson Clapp, but that's going to allow Smith-Thompson to pull out to a decent lead. But as you saw in the shot, Justin Slade is now back in the top 5. As you're seeing 4 wide out at turn 4. Slade, who was a lap down early in the race after pitting under green on lap 10, he has since gotten his lap back and has moved up through the field, as I said earlier, like he was the star of a bad racing movie, and that has taken him up to the 2nd position now, where he has the opportunity to steal back this race from Billy Ray Smith-Thompson. We all know Slade is much faster than Smith-Thompson is. However, Smith-Thompson is going to try his best to hold Slade off. As you see, they're starting to pull away a bit from Johnson Clapp in 3rd. And Slade now has a run on Smith-Thompson as they're going to turn 1. Slade peeks ahead of him a bit, but Smith-Thompson's going to have the better run coming out of it. So, something going on back there. Caution is out for the 6th time today. Let's see, it was the first back to the caution. Smith-Thompson actually holding off Slade. And again, he's going to get the better run off the outside. And he's going to keep the lead as they come to the caution. And here's the cause of the caution. A 3-wide situation goes wrong. That's going to put Osvaldo Ramirez in the wall, as if his day couldn't get any worse. He was involved in the lap 1 scuffle. He fell lap down, pitting under green on lap 10 along with Slade and a bunch of other people, and he never really recovered from that, unlike everybody else, and he's pretty much stayed a lap down since then. There was another accident behind that. Matt Pierce is going to come into turn 1 way too hot, and is going to take out 3 other cars, including himself. That is Rick Lewis, Alan Cavanero, and Henry Santos, as if he hasn't been through enough today. But anyway, all 4 cars will continue on. Billy Ray Smith-Thompson continues to lead on the restart. However, this time, he's got Justin Slade starting right behind him as they take the green now. Keegan Mallory sticking with him for a bit, but he won't stay there for long as they go into turn 1. Slade right on Smith-Thompson. Oh, wait a second. And Mallory just did what he did on the last restart, almost taking out the leaders. And that's going to hold up Slade, and Smith-Thompson's going to open up his lead once again. Just as Justin Slade did, Andy Pearson is quickly working his way through the field. However, unlike Slade, who was a lap down earlier in the race, Pearson was put in the back of the field due to weird pitch strategy. However, he is just outside the top 5 now, which are running all together. And as you can see, you can literally throw a blanket over the top 5 right now. And Gio Arias, who we haven't seen a lot of today, now going for the lead under Billy Ray Smith-Thompson. Also in this group is Patrick Johansson, who was up front earlier, but also got pulled back due to weird pitch strategy. Johnson Clapp, and also Kelly Splicen, who we haven't talked about at all today. And then the caution is out again. Are you serious? And Smith-Thompson is barely going to beat out Arias to retain the lead. And let's see what the caution is for this time. And it's Osvaldo Ramirez again. Okay, who thought 4 wide was going to work? Anyway, Ramirez would continue. And again, Smith-Thompson barely beats Arias to the caution, as you can actually see how close the top 7 is. So with the record under caution, Johansson, Splicen, and Slade all wreck while trying to catch up to the pace car. And, okay, this is getting stupid now as more cars are piling into it. But I have no idea why Splicen and Johansson were racing each other like that after they've already taken the caution, as they've pretty much ruined the great runs they were having in their first starts in their respective cars. And everybody else clearly didn't know what was in front of them, because they had no reason to pile into that, as Johansson and Splicen would go out of the race from the initial accident Robert Prescott, James West, and Bill Calhoun would go out of the race for piling into the accident. But anyway, while we were talking about that, we missed the restart. Billy Ray Smith-Thompson, because of Keegan Mallory, opens up a bit of a lead on Gio Arias. But Arias is going to close up that gap coming out of turn 4, and he's actually going to get into the back of Smith-Thompson. That really doesn't do anything to move him out of the way, but that's going to allow Johnson Clapp to be on the bumper of these two. And you may have briefly noticed that Andy Pearson is now back in the top 5 after going up and down to the field for much of the day due to a weird pit strategy, and he's battling with Justin Slade, who was actually involved in that little incident under caution. However, his damage was minimal. And as I was saying, that Johnson Clapp has taken the second spot from Arias and is now going under Smith-Thompson for the lead as they're coming out of turn, and the caution is out again. Can we go more than 3 laps, please? As Thompson and Clapp are still side by side, but Smith-Thompson is going to get the better run out of 4 and is going to keep the lead going to another caution. Alright, let's see what caused this one, as it looks like Lawrence Burr spins John Alexander through the infield grass. But then Alexander's going to come back up onto the track and into Osvaldo Ramirez, as if his day couldn't get any worse. Thankfully, no one else is collected, as that could have been a much bigger wreck, and Alexander will keep going, and so will Ramirez. However, at this point now, I believe it's better if someone just put Ramirez out of his misery. And you know the drill by now. It's been the same for the last 30 laps. Billy Ray Smith-Thompson leads on the restart. Keegan Mallory, first car 1 lap down. He's probably going to hold up everybody behind Smith-Thompson. Smith-Thompson gets around Mallory, and yeah, same old spiel. He'll open up his lead, which he'll keep until we get another caution in 2 or 3 laps. It's what you probably expect to happen considering how this race is played out, but there's one thing we're forgetting about, and that is Andy Pearson, who has just taken the second spot from Johnson Clapp and has gotten around Keegan Mallory and is now right behind Billy Ray Smith-Thompson. Pearson has been, without a doubt, the fastest car all day, and to be honest, his experience doesn't hurt him either, as he's trying to get a run on Smith-Thompson as they go down the front stretch. Let's see if he can get it going into 1. Smith-Thompson has gotten better runs on the outside, leaving 2, but Pearson makes it stick. He's got the upper hand. Let's see if he can clear him before they get into 3. No, Smith-Thompson trying to hold on, but I don't think he's going to do it. Pearson has the much faster car, and Andy Pearson is going to take the lead just a little shy of 20 laps to go. And speaking of faster cars, Justin Slade, who is about just as fast as Pearson, is now going to try to work on Smith-Thompson for second. And Pearson is already pulled away from these two. Slade trying to do the same. However, he's just looking for the right moment to pass Smith-Thompson, as these two have pulled away from Johnson Clapp in 4th. As Slade tries to look under Smith-Thompson as they exit 4. They're side by side coming down the lines. Look how much faster Slade is than Smith-Thompson, as he was able to clear him halfway down the front stretch. But Smith-Thompson's worries are not done yet, as he's about to lose the 3rd spot to Johnson Clapp. Smith-Thompson trying to prevent himself from losing any more spots as he's sticking with Clapp as they go through 3 and 4. They're side by side coming down the front stretch, and it looks like Smith-Thompson is going to hold Clapp off for now. Here is Texas World winner Stanley Parsons, who is lucky to still be running right now after he was involved in the lap 11 caution where he flipped the car a couple of times. He lost 3 laps on pit road, but due to the fact that we have not had green flag runs long enough today, he hasn't lost any more laps as he's been off the pace ever since. But it looks like, as you probably saw in the shot, Andy Pearson is coming to put him a 4th lap down. Let's see if he lets Pearson go by quietly, because Justin Slade is not too far behind him, and it looks like he's going to stay out of Pearson's way. Now let's see if Slade can get around him as they exit turn 4. Coming to the start-finish line, we're now under 20 laps to go, and Slade's going to go by him without a problem as well. Parsons now 4 laps down, but he's still going to get a top 20 finish as there's only 19 cars still running. Here is the battle for 4th between Gio Arias and Johnson Clapp. Arias is going to get a huge run coming out of turn 4, and is going to get by Clapp and Billy Ray Smith-Thompson for the 3rd spot. And Clapp is going to get around Smith-Thompson for 4th. Smith-Thompson continues to drop through the field as he is now in 5th. Arias definitely showing his strength early in this Super Series season. Remember, he won 2 truck races last season, and it appears that that success has carried over into this series. This is the most interesting battle right now. This is for 7th, which is currently held by Aubrey Wood, but she isn't going to hold it for long, as here comes Lawrence Burr to quickly take the spot from her. Remember, like Justin Slade, Burr was also a lap down at one point in this race after pitting under green on lap 10. He has gotten his lap back, and like Slade, has quickly moved up through the field, and he's now going to catch 6th place Tommy Ashby. Burr right now is on pace with Slade and Pearson, as it's showing as he's quickly catching up to these guys and passing them, as he's going to easily take the 6th spot from Ashby, but that's still not going to take away from the amazing run that Ashby's having, considering he did not race the Texas World. But Burr's quest isn't done yet, as he's then going to catch Billy Ray Smith Thompson and Johnson Clapp as they continue to battle for the 4th spot, but it looks like Burr's going to take the spot from both of them, as he's now under Clapp now, and it looks like he's going to take the 5th spot. Now he's going to try to get around Smith Thompson, but I don't think Smith Thompson's going to give up the spot that easily, as he went from the lead, now looking like he's about to lose, and I think there may have been some contact there between Clapp and Burr, but Smith Thompson doing his best to keep Burr back there to hold on to the 4th position. Let's see if Burr has a run going into 1. He's under him, but can Smith Thompson get it? No, he doesn't. Burr's going to clear him before they get into turn 3. Burr now in the 4th position, and that's going to leave Smith Thompson and Clapp to battle for the 5th. Oh wait, Smith Thompson trying to take the position back as he now tries to get under Burr. Let's see if he can get a run going into 1. They're side by side, but his efforts will be wasted, and Burr's going to get a better run out of 2, and is going to start to pull away from these 2, and Burr's going to go from about 10th to 4th in only a number of laps, but he's still ways back behind Gio Arias in 3rd, and that's going to leave Smith Thompson and Clapp to battle for the 5th position for themselves. 4 laps to go now, and Andy Pearson still has a decent lead over Justin Slade, but he's going to have a problem to face in the 2 lap cars of Osvaldo Ramirez and Henry Santos, who are actually battling for position. They're both 2 laps down, battling for 17th, and they are going to hold up Pearson, and that's going to allow Justin Slade to catch right up to him. They are going to soon get out of the way, but it was just enough for Slade to get back on Pearson's rear bumper. They are going to finally get around them, but that was just the opportunity that Slade needed in order to try to go for the win. There's going to be 2 laps to go when they come to the line. Slade now has a run on Pearson. They're side by side going into turn 1. Slade has the better run going in. He has it for a second, but Pearson's going to get the better run coming out of 2. That's been the preferred line exiting, and they're side by side going into 3. And Pearson looks like he's going to keep the lead. It was a valiant effort on Slade's part as they take the white flag, but Slade's efforts weren't enough, as Andy Pearson, the legend, is going to take the win here at Memphis for, I believe, his first Super Series win, as I don't think he won any Regional Cup races last year. Even though he didn't get the win, Justin Slade still came back from a lap down to finish in 2nd, and I have to say that's a job well done on his part. Gio Arias finishes in 3rd. I believe that's also where he finished at Texas World. Lawrence Burr also came from a lap down to finish in 4th. He had a great run in the closing stages of this race, and leads with a top 5 finish. Johnson Clapp beats Billy Ray Smith Thompson for the 5th spot, and also gets the hard charger bonus, as he started way back in 33rd. Smith Thompson, who led a large part of this race, is going to have to settle for 6th. Tommy Ashby finishes in 7th. I can't say enough what a great run he had today, as his season definitely started off on a bad note. Unable to race at Texas World, but I think this will somewhat make up for it. Angel Gray finishes in 8th. Kind of a quiet run for her today. Same for Aubrey Wood, who finishes in 9th. And Daniel Kelly finishes in 10th. I also like to point out that John Alexander, who was running in the top 10, pitted with 2 laps to go. He will now finish 16th, 2 laps down, but he'll still get the 10 bonus points for winning the pole. Now here are the point standings after 2 races. Justin Slade now holds sole possession of the points lead, 24 points ahead of Gio Arias. Both of them are the only 2 drivers to finish in the top 5 both races. Johnson Clapp, who's the only other driver to finish in the top 10 both races, sits in 3rd, 28 points behind Slade. Stanley Parsons, who won at Texas World, drops to 4th, 34 points behind, and with the win, Andy Pearson jumps all the way up to 5th, 44 points behind Slade. He makes that huge jump considering he didn't even get to finish a lap at Texas World. Lawrence Burr and John Alexander are tied for 6th. Tiebreaker is Lawrence Burr has the top 5, Alexander doesn't. Keegan Mallory is in 8th. He's the only one in the top 10 points without a top 10 finish, and he's pretty much there only because he survived the first 2 races. Matt Pearson actually gains a spot. He moves up to 9th, and Aubrey Wood jumps up to 10th. But it's still very early in the season as the Super Series heads to the famous Carbondale Raceway in Illinois.